I love wrestling and you love wrestling, then you're not here, you missing out. Cause this show. Welcome to the We Love Wrestling spot. My name is Terry. Today, I am here with Danielle from the Pretty Hills, and I'm also with a person who I went to North Carolina. I was able to see a show that in my 38 years of life was like one of the best shows I've seen. A lot of black people on the show. It was about what truly matters to me. Today, I'm with Mr. TGA Moss, also known as the Great Alexander Moss. How are you doing today, sir?
Hey, man, blessed. Glad to be here with you guys.
Well, my first question I always ask to everybody when we start this is, why do you love wrestling, or what started your love for wrestling?
Oh, man, I tell people all the time, I can't remember when I started watching wrestling because I've always watched it. My father began my love of wrestling. So I remember sitting there watching it with him, no matter what day it was, Monday, Friday, whatever day it was, we were watching it. I remember trying to sneak in a couple of extra minutes, with bedtime was coming and everything. So watching it with my pops and my brother, that's my love for wrestling. Then we also used to, do our thing, playing wrestling in the house and whatnot, getting on mama's nerves. So, yeah, man, the love came from that.
When you said playing and wrestling in the house, getting in your mom's nerves,
yeah.
Everybody as a kid used to get in trouble for doing that. How many brothers or sisters did you have in the house with you?
Hey, it's just two of us, man, but we made enough noise for everybody. We made enough noise for everybody.
Was there a favorite movie you used to like to put your brother into?
The crazy thing about it, man, let me tell you, somebody need to pick it up, but I used to put him in what we used to call the toe lock.
Okay.
It was supposed to be the ankle lock, but I didn't know what I was doing, so I was tearing his toes up, man.
Okay. The toe lock.
Yeah, man, I put him in the toe lock. They used to tap from it too, so I should have kept that one.
All right.
It can still be a part of your arsenal. You never know.
Yeah. Maybe if I ever wrestle Matt Riddle, we'll use it.
Now, since we broke the ice on that, I just want to ask you about the What Truly Matters show.
Yeah.
I live in Indianapolis, and I went to Charlotte to see some of my cousins. Everybody was telling me about the show, so I came to see it. It was a good show. What made you want to do that show?
And truth be told, brother, I'll tell you the same story I told everybody else when it comes to it. I drive a lot. I go back and forth from Charlotte or Greensboro, so I drive quite often. And I was actually thinking of something I could do for my pops for his birthday. And of course, like I said, that's where I get my love of wrestling from. So I was like, you know what, I can throw him something and see if I can get a couple of guys up for it. And then I kept thinking, I was like, wait a minute, with everything going on, with all my brothers and sisters out there, this could be a little more than that. So, I was like, we can't be silent. And this is the format that God has blessed us with. So we should use it to the best of our abilities. So I just started reaching out to people, man. And I said, guys, this is an opportunity for us to speak and let the world know that Black lives matter, but in specific for what we're doing also that Black wrestlers matter. Change the perspective of what people see when they turn on their televisions. It's not just about the white man that holds the title. Granted, he could be great, he could be good, but we are too, and we deserve what we work for as well.
Okay. So at the show, we let's bring this around. So you said your dad started your love for wrestling. So at the show, I saw your son wrestling.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just a good thing. So how long has your son been wrestling? Because it seemed like he was still young, really young.
Oh yeah.
He was pretty good though. I will say that.
Yeah. Thank you. He just turned 15 in June, so last month. But he's been wrestling. I guess he started maybe a year after me and the wife did. So he's been wrestling for about a year and a half. And he loves it. He grew up watching it with me and my pops as well. And he's actually my little cousin.
Okay.
Me and my wife took him in, but same thing.
Right.
He lives with us. We take care of him. But was very proud of the young man. But he loves it, man, and I appreciate you guys for that.
All right. I didn't even know he was 15. Wow, I thought he was at least over.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's definitely, you know, pretty mature.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's a big kid, that's for sure. I got the bill to prove it.
Danielle, take it.
So I wanted to just because we're still like staying in the same vein of like your love for wrestling, and you know, you being a wrestler and you know, talking about your evolution from becoming a fan to actually getting into the ring. Who would you say was a fan of yours growing up, and like who did you model yourself after or take some things from to be who you are?
Oh man, there's so many. I remember watching guys like Shawn Michaels, Ahmed Johnson, The Rock, of course, Randy Orton. There were several guys that I looked at and thought that I would be a lot like when I actually stepped in the ring. But you'd be surprised in how much things change and you come into your own. And of course, I'm still doing that. But yeah, guys like that I just, you know, I watched growing up that really caught my attention. And I try to still watch those guys, study what they do, because you know they were draws. They were able to keep eyes on them and butts in seats. So,
so with that said, because I mean your style is really unique. Because sometimes when I go, you know, because I'm such a wrestling fan, when I go to shows, I try to have a lens where to figure out like who they made you have modeled their style after, or just take some things and add to themselves. I noticed that you and Cam were really telling a story. And I know the story is pretty deep and it's probably a little more personal than, you know, you would want to let on to the general public without breaking kayfabe. But I want to say, like, what are you willing to share as far as the story between the chemistry you and Cam had in that match?
oh my gosh. Well, I don't mind sharing it because I feel like there'll be other people that need to hear it. But you know, Cam, I've looked up to Cam ever since before I started training because I researched the school, and of course one of his name was one of the ones that came up. And you saw how absolutely talented Cam Carter is. But you know, as we talked about just a little bit ago, the reason why we was doing that show is because, you know, when you look at guys like that and realize that they're being overlooked and underused and, you know, all kinds of things, it gets discouraging. And for a guy as great as Cam Carter to get so discouraged to the point to perhaps he's wondering, should I give this up, this dream of mine? And so, you know, that story was, no, don't give it up and don't become bitter, you know, don't become bitter. Now we got to fight, because if we give up, we've given them, and whoever them is, we've given them exactly what they wanted. And that was the story. We're not giving up. We're going to come out here and we're going to show out every time we hit that ring, and we're going to force it. You know, if it's not going to be given to us, we're going to take it. We're going to do that with all the humility and the love that we have, but also with the boldness, and that's what it takes. And so that was the story. Cam Carter. You know, when I was on Jobber Tears, they asked me who did I think from the Southeast would come out next, and that was the first name that came to my mind, was Cam Carter. And you guys saw it. You know, I could let you tell everyone you saw it. And so there's no way in the world I want that brother to be discouraged, and no way in the world I want him to walk away from something that belongs to him. And then I want him to make sure that he's passing that down to everybody that comes after us. And that was the story. That was the story.
That's deep.
So when I was there, that was my first time actually hearing of Cam Carter, and I've been a wrestling fan for a while. And what I seen you two doing that ring, I was upset with myself personally. I was like, why don't I know who they are? And it looked like Cam, like the match I saw you guys do, I was like, oh, this is like a 205 live match I see on WWE Network with these two. But I'm just happy that you know, with this platform, I'm finding out about a lot of you, because I was amazed with the match when I saw it. I was like, this is like a primetime match right here of two black wrestlers who I've never seen actually wrestle. And the story that you told, and then the speech afterwards, you know, that the speech throughout the show when you came out and he attacked your son, and you had to say, "This is what you want to do for the future, Cam? This how you trying to teach him?" You know, I really appreciate the whole story that you was telling inside of just that show that you had.
I appreciate that, man. It's very humbling and encouraging, and I most definitely appreciate that. Appreciate the review you guys left of the show, and it means the world. And that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to let the world know. And I mean, we got some 5,000 plus viewers. We wanted to let everyone know that we're talented. We're talented. You don't have to be afraid of us. We're talented, and we just want to do what we love, and we want to do what you love to watch us do. And so, you know, thank you for that, brother. Thank y'all. Thank y'all.
No problem. Now, I do want to touch on one thing that I heard. I don't know. They told me that you are a pastor.
Yes, sir.
What denomination?
Church of Christ. So technically denomination, but yeah, Church of Christ. I'm gonna move over here so my phone doesn't overheat. But Church of Christ.
Oh, okay. So how's that for, you know, being a pastor and being in the wrestling business?
Man, it's a blessing. You quickly find out how many things you can do with God in mind. So as long as I remain who I'm supposed to be as far as His will is concerned, everything goes well, and it has been. You know, it gets a little tricky when you start thinking about, well, what if you start having to work on Sundays and different things like that. But those are decisions that will come when that time comes, and I pray about it, and I keep working on both sides. Okay. Because regardless of if I'm in a pulpit or not, I'll always be a preacher. Okay. I will always be a man of God. And so, you know, but I also know that God is okay with me chasing dreams as long as I keep Him first.
So being a preacher, do you try to preach to any of the people in your church about coming out to the wrestling shows or being wrestlers?
Let me tell you, man, that was crazy. It took a while to just kind of make it a known thing that me and my wife are wrestlers. It took a little bit. We didn't just come out and say it. We didn't know how everybody would react, so we kind of did it in waves. We told people, and all right, let's just. And then finally, I was like, you know what? It is what it is. But everybody is okay with it. They're supportive. They think it's crazy, but they, you know, it's all good, man. But it was a little nerve-wracking at first, just because you don't know how people react. You know, right. You don't know how people will react. But everybody's good.
Because when they told me, I was like, I was like, no way. They was like, yeah. I was like, okay, well, let's see what it is. But, you know, that's a good avenue that you have going there. When you wrestle, too, you said no matter if you're in the pulpit or not, you still preaching. So that's a good thing. Now, one thing I do want to ask, where do you see the future of wrestling going? Because you did the What Truly Matters show. So that right there, it drove you to do something more. So where do you see the future of like Black wrestlers going in the business with everything going on?
My brother, if we stay diligent in our message, and if we let everyone know that we're not going anywhere, if we stay diligent, I believe it can be at least closer to what it should be. Nothing's going to be perfect.
Right. Nothing's
going to be perfect. Okay. We're not going to ever get it exactly like we want. But if we stay diligent, my brother, I believe that the business can be so much better than it is right now. I believe that we can be represented in a better manner. I believe that we have to stand on that and keep standing on that, and not refrain from our message, because we think that once we get a step or two that we can let it be because the rest will take care of itself. But that's just not the way that the world works. So if we stay diligent in our message and doing what we're doing, I think that the business has some great things ahead for Black wrestlers, black talent, period. You know, anything.
All right. This is going to be my last question. I'm going to ask Danielle. She has a question after. Now, one of the stigmas out there they have is Black wrestlers, you know, they're always preachers, or they doing something with the church. Have you someone tried to book you and like, hey, would you be a pastor or a preacher for me on the show?
I've never had anybody that asked me to do it on the show. But I have had people to say, well, you might as well go ahead and do that as a gimmick. Well, it is my gimmick. There's a stereotypical preacher, but then there's the everyday preacher like myself. I am who I am.
Right.
I am who I am. And so I know I'm not gonna come out in a robe. I'm not going to come out and preach every time I come out. I'm not going to play, even though we had fun with that at Jabba Tears, I'm not going to play Kirk Franklin when I come out there because I am who I am. And I think that's more relatable. I think that's what people would rather see in a preacher anyhow. Is somebody that they can relate to, that they know that, yeah, he's doing the best that he can to live for God, just like I am. But that's who I am, man. And so, anytime I've always, I always take advice and at least listen to it, circulate it in my brain. But no, I don't want to do any of that, man. They've had that several times before. Caprice Coleman, he's got it down pat, So I let him have it. He does it well, and I love it. But right. It's just not for me.
Okay, Danielle.
Yeah. So I guess I'll close it out with this question. The show was really good. I will tell you that. And I know, it looked good from the fans' perspective. And that's usually how it works. And that means it's a success, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure there was a lot of work and a lot of strategizing behind it.
Sure.
Is this something you possibly want to do in the future? Or are you like, hey, I'm talent and this is what I don't want to do the back end of the business?
There are many avenues that I would love to get in. Because it gives you more security in the business, and plus it just makes you, it makes you better. It makes you better. But I don't see myself becoming a promoter or anything like that. But there have been talks. There have been talks about doing this annually. So I will consider that and do that. And I also have to say that I had so much help for that week. I'm thankful to God that I didn't have to do it by myself. I had so much help from so many different people, and it all came together. And we still had our, pains and things throughout the day, but everything came together because everyone worked together. And that's another thing that I wanted to show the world. You know what the saying is: when a bunch of black folks get together, you know the rest.
Yeah.
But a bunch of black folks got together, and we see what happened. It didn't always have to go the other way, and that's for us to see, and that's for everybody else to see too. And so maybe annually, but never say never, but I don't see myself becoming a promoter. I love being inside the ring, and after then maybe training or something like that, but I don't see myself becoming a promoter.
Okay. Well, just from me, I think you should do it annually.
I agree.
Not saying that I will be able to come annually, but
sure.
if I was in that area,
I'll be there.
Yo, that meant so much, man. Y'all came a lot of miles, so thank you.
Yeah, we drove from New York. Terry drove. Well, Terry, I feel like you drove further than we did.
Well, I drove 9 to Charlotte and then 3.5 to Greenville.
Yes.
And then the next day I left and just came back to Indiana. So it was 12 going back, but seeing my family and then seeing a wrestling show, because I didn't see WrestleMania or nothing this year. Double or Nothing. We had tickets, didn't go. I mean, that was actually what I needed, and it was a good dose because, just everything and afterwards talking with the black wrestlers. Sure. I was seeing somebody just like me, like looking at you, somebody who I hang out with, enjoying wrestling, doing the thing I've been watching, and it's just like greatness. Like, I appreciate what you did, sir. I appreciate that.
Thank you guys, and I give all the glory to God and all the thanks to the men and women that helped that throughout that process.
Now,
so thank you guys.
No problem. Before we close out, we got to know social media, where they can reach you at, Twitter, YouTube, any type of social media you have.
Yes. For my Instagram and Twitter, it is TGA_Moss. Both of those TGA_Moss, and for my Facebook, it's I believe it's TGA Alexander Moss. You'll find me there, and then for YouTube, you look up TGA Moss, and it'll all come up as well. So appreciate you guys. That means a lot. That's where you'll find me.
No problem. We thank you for just coming on and talking with us.
Yes, definitely. Thank you.
Thank you guys. Thank y'all, man. Y'all stay safe and stay blessed.
You too.
Thank
As
you.
You know,
make sure you say a prayer for me specifically. We're all going through a lot.
Prayers don't hurt nobody. Say a prayer for me also.
I'll take care of both of you. So y'all pray for me too. We all need it.
That's right.
So as we always say, this is the We Love Wrestling spot. We are with TGA Moss. Thank you for coming through, sir. I'm with Danielle from the Pretty Hills, and I'm Terry. And as I always say, if I love wrestling and you love wrestling, then we love wrestling.
Yes,
It's
sir.
too sweet
Yes, sir.
for the culture.